The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter.
Thank you very much.
It's always a pleasure to have you on the program. Yes, following last Saturday's governorship primary election in Edo State, the National Working Committee of the All Progressive Congress has declared the poll inconclusive. This was disclosed by the party's National Publicity Secretary Felix Morka on Tuesday after the leadership of the party had an emergency meeting with the NWC at the party secretariat in Abuja. The poll, which was conducted on February 17, had produced 3 winners. The Chairman of Electoral Committee of the primary, Governor Hope Uzodimma, had announced Dennis Idahosa as winner, while returning officer Stanley Ugboaja as winner. While the returning officer declared Okpebholo as winner. These are the issues that we are going to look at. Though the ruling party APC had pledged to do the concluding part of the poll on this tomorrow, Thursday, but pundits are wondering what could be happening considering the vested interest in this primary election. Is it going to be peace or is it going to be in disarray? That is what we are going to be looking at.
The scenario
is this a taste of what is to come for Edo election that is taking place, Buba election taking place in September?
Well, you might not be. You are definitely not far from, what you have said is definitely not far from what you should expect. This perhaps is the tip of the iceberg as to how contentious that election is going to be. Because if you look at the intrigues playing out within the internal, party structure of not just APC now, the 3 parties, you will see that as we speak, the 3 major parties, PDP, APC, and Labour Party, are caught up in a war crisis or another.
Yes, but before we look at other parties, we are looking at APC because there was a report that came from on the Stable of Leadership newspaper, which day was that presidency was
twisted
the process.
National leadership of the party to produce Idahosa. And I think we are seeing the manifestation of that report. Because as of the time leadership did that exclusive report, things had not degenerated to the point where the party had to, call the election, the primaries inconclusive. At the time, there was still a case of in fact, it's really interesting. How can you call an election, a primary election, inconclusive after the national leadership of the party, led by the national chairman, had congratulated and endorsed Idahosa, a candidate that participated in the process?
Perhaps they didn't bargain that there was going to be conflicting reports because there were also some reports, the result sheet that also went viral. We saw that some other candidates also scored even higher than.
So why did you hurriedly congratulate a particular person when you know that the process is not concluded? That is 1. 2, you have a returning officer. I'm not sure that has happened in a while, but you declared you assigned somebody the role of a returning officer. The function of a returning officer is to return the results, is to announce whoever emerges. And then you have the chairman of the campaign of the primaries, the governor, going ahead to announce one candidate. Yes, exactly. Hope Uzodimma announcing the result, and then your returning officer is announcing somebody else, and another official of the party announced someone else. So you have 3 in the space of barely 24 hours.
But Chibuzo, this concluding or conclusion or conclusive, whatever it's called, because it's from this APC government we started hearing of inconclusive elections. But how is it going to turn out tomorrow? Because many people are already saying that at the end of the day tomorrow, we are also going to just see an overall endorsement of Idahosa.
Well,
is that going to play out?
It's
is that what we are going to see?
Well, it will be hard to tell from here.
However,
one can only
yes,
speculate
yes,
that this whole process was redone so that Idahosa can emerge,
yes,
as the sole head, so that they don't have other guys. And
however, there were
the party can try to assuage and patch things in the build up to them. But will that space of time be enough to suit the wounds? Time will tell.
Now, many people are also of the opinion that Okpebholo, who was announced by the returning officer, is also a candidate of one of the cabals in presidency. How do you do?
Now, that's the thing. According to our exclusive report, the presidency is said to be aligned with the emergence of Idahosa, while some party hawks are inclined towards the senator. And so that was why when events played out the way it did, it was interesting to see that Okpebholo was able to pull the kind of weight he was able to do, and a party designated official of the national was able to declare him winner, have the audacity to declare him winner. So it shows the internal tussle within the APC structure with regards to that. Of course, everybody knew that. Perhaps a little background would help, because we saw this play out in the way Oshiomhole, who is regarded as the leader of the party, started a mini process of weeding out too many candidates, too many aspirants, because he was said to be working towards the emergence of Idahosa. So they set up a committee, not a party one for now, but something set up by Oshiomhole's camp and leadership that did a screening of APC aspirants in a bid to weed off or to win the number. And so when that process happened, some of the aspirants felt aggrieved and said, no, you can't just set up a committee and advise us to leave the contest because you are working towards a particular for a particular candidate for a particular person to emerge. So allow us going through the process and let us have our day in the field. So that was when it became obvious that what we are seeing now was going to happen. So perhaps if the party leadership had synergized properly, was able to carry everybody along in this whole process, as we have seen, we have been advocating in the past, things might not have gone to this.
Now, if by what we are just saying, what we have been, our permutations come to tomorrow, and Dennis Idahosa is officially endorsed as the party's flag bearer for the Edo Guba. What will this signpost for the party in the state? Because we've had situations. Is it not going to resort to court issues?
Well, there is no taking away the place of
aggrieved members are likely
of course,
to go to
there's
court.
no taking away that. We've seen that play out since 1999, or possibly even beyond that, where aggrieved aspirants will go to court to fight all of that. So it will not be surprising, and it will not be unexpected. In fact, it will be expected that would play out, because as we speak, lines are already drawn. However, it depends on how the party deploys its conflict resolution mechanism and try to make those who would lose out of this process understand that, okay, fine, what has happened, but let us try to put together and unite as a party and move along. Whether the party can do that now becomes a critical question.
Right. Now, there's another thing too that is also playing out in the Edo State, talking about power shift. Now, it was of the tacit agreement, though not officially, that power was going to rotate to Edo Central, which is the hub number of Isha, and that was the agreement. Now, with Oshiomhole endorsing Dennis Idahosa, who incidentally is from Edo South, is APC not already setting itself for a fall? Because we have the incumbent governor who is already supporting somebody from Edo Central. So how
Fine.
is APC
Now-
going to play? Because we have situation whereby most of the contenders, most of the contestants for this APC Guba are even from that senatorial zone, that is Edo Central. Are they not going to align at the end of the day, because their aim is let power come to the Edo Central?
Thank you very much. It's a bit of a tricky situation for the APC.
You see?
But again, politics is a game of numbers. There's the saying that the Edo Central, of course, it has not
produced
the governor.
Exactly.
It produced the
Except
governor
for
once,
Senator
Osumbo,
Yes, Osumbo.
but he could only serve for about roughly 1.5 years or something.
Oshomole's tenure.
Exactly.
They went to
Exactly.
court.
So
prior to
it
the
is
electoral
assumed
act.
that they have not really gotten their
They
chance
are not
to
going
govern the state. And so that is where it becomes a bit tricky, like I said, because there's a notion that the Edo Center does not have the numbers, and that.
No, but they are the second largest. South.
No, I think what you have is Edo North, Edo South, North, then Central. The Edo Central are seen as a bit of the minority in some sense. That is the argument. I mean, political wise now.
Okay.
They are seen as that. So that's why these other two senatorial zones have always, at some point, had the upper hand in that sense. So people want to go to areas they feel, okay, if our son comes here, if our candidate comes from this zone, the possibility of galvanizing that zone with the large numbers can help it, So, but it will be interesting to see how Idahosa can do that, because you might now have a situation where the governor can mobilize his own south and mobilize the central, who would definitely want to vote for their candidate.
However, that is a tough one, because
it's a tricky situation at the moment.
We are going on the break. When we come back, we are going to be looking at the issues at stake now concerning power rotation in the state. Please don't go away. Stay tuned. Edo Central is actually this. Okay, welcome back. In case you are just joining us, the program is The Big Issue, and the big issue this week we are looking at the Edo governorship election, inconclusive APC primaries, and matter arising. Just before we went on a break, we were talking about the possibility of this power rotation, which is, though not official, has been milling around that Edo Central will produce the next governorship aspirant for the state. But APC is not having it so, because from last Saturday's primaries, Dennis Idahosa was endorsed actually as the APC Guba candidate. However, the election has been declared inconclusive, and tomorrow they are going to conclude everything. But should in case he is endorsed and the incumbent is said to be supporting a candidate from Edo Central, how is it going to play out? Because we are going to be tasking the liberality of Edo State at the polls. Will Edo State, Benin, Edo South, lead their candidate from APC and stick to the incumbent governor's candidate, who incidentally is from Edo Central? That is a question everyone is asking.
And so, like I was saying,
And don't forget, Edo South also has the majority votes in the state.
yeah. So, like I was saying, it will depend on a number of factors. Like you just mentioned, one, the voting size, the voting population, which side has the voting might. Secondly, which party will be able to galvanize more voters to come out and engage the process? That is also going to be a very critical factor. The question of
and
fairness.
don't forget, Chibuzo, we are in an era that ethnicity and religion is now the determining factor in voting, in election voting in the country.
Ethnicity and all that also has to play along lines of certain factors also. I'm aware that in some states, no matter how much you want to play the ethnic card, if your ethnic group does not have the numbers, you cannot win. You cannot win the governorship election in some states, regardless of how strong the ethnic sentiment is. You cannot win election in your state alone. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. You cannot win a governorship seat. I can mention a couple of
that is what I'm saying now. Like,
so you need to spread. You need to extend a hand of fellowship across just your ethnic group to be able to win governorship election. That's the reality in some states.
But in this state that the Edo South, like I keep saying, they have the numbers.
Yes.
What they could have decided it alone, but just because of local government, they are short of one. So they still don't actually even need the others because they have the largest population. They can actually decide. Now you have one of them in APC.
But you have to have spread.
Why the incumbent?
You have to get spread in order to be declared.
So what can be what is going to play out, because this is some an issue many people will be interested in. What is going to play out? We've been in the Edo South, who have the number now, say, okay, let's go for our own in APC, or should they say no, let's stick with Edo
and that brings the second factor. How well you engage them as a party and as a candidate to be critical also. You can't just expect them to lie back and say, okay, we will. If you don't engage them properly, you have to engage them and tell them what you intend to do for them. Because they are also stakeholders in the process. You know, if not because of our peculiar sentiments of, this person is from here, that person is from there. These issues shouldn't be a major criteria for a leader of a state to emerge. What should be the focal point in electing a candidate is what the candidate can offer, regardless where he's from. Issues of ethnicity should have been secondary. But because people feel, these people have been governing for so long, our person is our turn for our person to also govern. And at the end of the day, how much has that helped us in the country? Now, I'm not saying inclusivity is bad, but I'm saying inclusivity that has not translated to anything in Nigeria in a good number of years. But even for their own people, what do you use?
No, apart from APC, we're also having some news featuring in concerning PDP primaries. And just before we came to the studio, we heard that a PDP gubernatorial aspirant has also taken the party in the state to court.
Yeah. While
Labour Party, the news just broke out that the Labour Party chairman has been arrested in Edo State. So does it pose well? What kind of primaries are we going to be having at the end of the day?
We are going to be seeing very interesting primaries. Just like the APC, when the PDP started its World Congress, which would produce delegates that participate in the primary elections. But it became very obvious that the party was heading for some tough times ahead. But even before then, when the Cold War between Obaseki and his deputy, came to the fore, of course, pundits already saying, okay, this is going to be an interesting situation to look out for in the PDP. And so it's not strange that things are playing out the way they do. And in Nigeria's recent political history, we've always seen how an incumbent governor tends to have his way when it comes to internal party primaries. So what is playing out so far in the PDP is not necessarily strange. It's not necessarily new. But again, just like with the APC, the ability of the party on the one hand and stakeholders to resolve their issues will determine, how they play, how they perform going forward. And I think whichever party has the ability to resolve its internal issues faster and better, perhaps stand a better chance going into the major election.
So what are we going to be expecting tomorrow? What are your permutations for tomorrow?
Wow. I think for PDP.
For APC.
Oh, for APC. Well, I think
primary.
It will depend on the quality of groundwork that those rooting for Idahosa have done.
And very strangely, Chibuzo, we have the two major aspirants from the National Assembly. They're already engaged. They're already in the National Assembly.
We've seen that play out in the past. We've seen more lawmakers, National Assembly, transiting to executive positions, and then when they finish, they tend to go back. So it's been a case of come from this way and go back that way, or go this way and come back that way. So to me, it's not necessarily strange, but the thing is that how much of that has translated to proper governance or quality governance? I think I've not seen any impact with all of that, translating to anything that you should be proud about or be cheering.
All right. The Guba election in question is coming up in September. So what are we going to be looking at for? Because it's going to be an interesting one. While we are waiting for Labour Party to produce this candidate, well, of course, we also have a former NBA chairman, Akbata, also in the race, but we don't know the situation on ground right now. So how is it going to play out? Interesting.
The other day I saw an article he wrote crying out about, complaining about the way the whole primary process is going.
And many people are also of the opinion that the governor has been fingered, according to sources, in the intra-party wrangling going on in Labour Party in Edo State. As is that?
It will not be strange if that is playing out. It has become part of our political mannerism, where you try to cause destabilization in the other party to throw them off balance and all of that. Just like Labour is saying now that they are coming, the DSS and the police are coming to pick our national chairman barely 2 days to the primaries. So they're insinuating that perhaps they are trying to throw us into disarray ahead of the. And there's also the insinuation that the lady who made the allegation against Abuja about being sponsored from the outside to create, confusion and bad blood within the party. And these are in the sense that people say all is fair in war, in quotes. You might not necessarily say it's bad, but the onus comes back to the party. Labour Party should be able to put its act together. Same for APC and PDP, so that when these attacks come from the outside, you can withstand them. Because you wouldn't expect that you just lie back and everybody will play fair. So you have to prepare your own house. Make sure you play by the rules, and make sure you give a sense of belonging for all. At least try the best you can to ensure a level playing field, just environment, sense of belonging for all members of the party, so that when these attacks come, it will be easier to fend off. But when there are loopholes within, it becomes very easy for members within to play along with such narrative. But I think the bigger picture for me is that it appears as if our evolution process, political evolution process, with regards to internal party arrangements, party discipline, mannerisms of our political actors, the security architecture with regards to creating a condition around for this kind of has not really improved much.
Yes.
I still see what is playing out now as the same old streak of political actors being desperate for power and willing to crash the process if they don't see things working in their way.
Yes,
so these are the really thoughtful takeaways one can observe from all that is playing out. And there's no way that can help the system. Because when a governor eventually emerges from this kind of process, the likelihood of that bitter political environment dousing out appears very slim. Because there's a likelihood that, okay, such political divisions will continue all through the process, and it affects the overall performance of governance. So I think something has to be done so that people don't engage in this process too bitterly. And the overall impact is that governance does not benefit from.
All right, time is running out against us. But just before we go, one more last question. Now, APC in Edo State has been away from power for 4 years, and it lost that seat because of his internal wranglings. We had a situation whereby the then chairman of the party, Adams Oshiomhole, was at loggerheads with his governor, who he put there, Obaseki, who had to defect to PDP to contest that election. Now, with this election coming up in September, can APC afford to trifle with his own primary?
Not just APC alone. None of the parties can afford to do that.
And don't forget that APC, just because of Oshiomhole, broke into Edo State, because Edo State formerly has been a stronghold of PDP, but Oshiomhole was able to break into it and clinch that ticket for 12 years until he lost it to Obaseki because of the face-off between him and Obaseki. Now another election is by the corner. Can APC actually play with it this time around?
It will be up to them to determine whether they want to play with it or not, because they are also in government at the national level. Okay. And the policies of this government at the national is also going to reflect on how decision making that will take place in Edo State. Everybody knows the situation of things in the country today. The policy, issues that don't seem to be playing out the way the government, and the hardship everywhere. So a party that has that kind of challenge on its hands shouldn't be toying with certain things. We ought to do better. So that is why it is surprising that the party leadership, with regards to their election, appears to not have a grip on what it should do. When you have certain hurdles to cross, you do the best you can to ensure that your platform is strong and stable enough, so that at this point, what you can now deploy energy,
be able to wrestle power from the
exactly what you can now deploy energy to doing is wooing the minds of the people to see that, okay, yes, we have we appreciate the hardship going on, but in Edo State, this is what we intend to do. But the way it's going, if they don't do that fast enough or sooner enough, they might end up getting too distracted with trying to patch their house. And considering all of the perception issues at the national level with regards to their party and their policies, it might totally throw them off balance. So that is why it is critical that they really calm down and look inwards and ensure that whatever thing they do between now and tomorrow is thorough, rooted, and gives a sense of belonging to all members of the party. If not, it's going to be a major distraction going into the major election.
Thank you so much, Chibuzo. That's a good advice going to the National Working Committee of the ruling APC. And it's on that note we end today's The Big Issue. I've had with me in the studio and in-house guest, Chibuzo Okade. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to have you on the program. Of course, just before we go, we've been talking about the inconclusive APC primaries and matters arising. That was the big issue today on today's edition of the show. My name is Winnie Okpebholo. I look forward to serving you same time, same station next week. Bye.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.